The number on your arm says everything about who you are, not your name, not where you're from. Just 3 digits burned into memory. 426. That's what they call you now. Red pole. It means you've proven yourself in ways most people can't imagine. It means you command 15 men who would die on your word. It means you're halfway up a ladder that most never climb. But here's what it doesn't mean. You've made it. You haven't. Not even close. This is where the real test begins. The Triad hierarchy runs on numbers turned into rank. Blue Lanterns have no number at all, just ghosts doing dirty work without status. 49ers are soldiers, the expendable muscle. Then there's you. 426. Red pole. A title tied to a warrior legend, and a rank you have to justify every day. Your territory is 6 blocks in Kowloon. Restaurants, gambling dens, massage parlours, a few legitimate businesses that launder money through the books. 15 men answer to you directly. Some are hungry kids trying to prove themselves. Others are veterans who've been doing this longer than you've been alive. Your job is to keep them in line, keep the money flowing, and keep rival triads from thinking they can move in on what's yours. Last Tuesday, 2 49ers from 14K showed up at a restaurant under your protection. They sat down, ordered tea, and told the owner he needed to pay them instead. Simple, direct, disrespectful. The owner called you immediately because he knows what happens if he doesn't. You showed up with 4 of your men within 20 minutes. The 14K soldiers were still drinking their tea. You didn't say a word. You picked up the teapot and poured it over the senior one's head. Boiling water ran down his face. He screamed. His partner reached for something in his jacket. One of your men broke his arm before he could pull it out. You leaned in close to the one with the burned face and whispered your triad's name. Then you left. The owner didn't pay them. He won't. Everyone on those 6 blocks heard about it by nightfall. That's the job. You handle conflicts. You enforce discipline. You maintain order through fear and respect, usually both at once. When someone in your crew steps out of line, you're the one who corrects them. Sometimes that means a conversation. Sometimes it means a beating. Sometimes it means they disappear and nobody asks questions. The organisation doesn't tolerate weakness. Your position doesn't allow for mercy. But violence is only half of what you do. The other half is recruitment. You identify targets, people with access to information or resources the Triad needs. A dock worker who can look the other way when containers come through, a police officer drowning in gambling debts, a banker who handles wire transfers and doesn't ask questions. You study them, you learn their weaknesses, their pressure points, their vulnerabilities, then you exploit them. 3 months ago, you recruited a customs inspector at the port. He has a daughter with leukemia, and treatment costs more than he makes in a year. You approached him with cash, called it a gift, then came back again and again until the money stopped feeling like help and started feeling like debt. By the 4th meeting, he owed you more than he could ever repay. That's when you asked him to forget to inspect certain containers. He agreed. He had no choice. You now control a pipeline through one of the busiest ports in Asia. Your superiors noticed. A 438, the deputy mountain master, called you to a meeting last month. He sat across from you in a private room at a restaurant that's been owned by the Triad for 40 years. He ordered expensive whiskey and poured 2 glasses. He told you that you're being watched. Not by the police, by the Dragonhead. The man at 489, the top of the entire organisation, knows your name. He knows about the customs inspector. He knows about the 14K soldiers and the teapot. He knows you're effective, loyal and ruthless when necessary. He knows you understand that power isn't just about violence, it's about control. But the deputy told you something that changed everything. Every Dragonhead starts as Red Pole. It's the only path. The men who reach 489 aren't administrators or diplomats. They're warriors who proved they could become politicians without forgetting how to fight. You're 32 years old. You've been with the Triad for 14 years, since you were a Blue Lantern running errands and taking beatings to prove your loyalty. You've seen men rise and fall. You've seen red poles who got too ambitious and ended up in the harbour. You've seen others who played it safe and stayed at 4-2-6 for decades, never moving up, never moving anywhere. You've seen the rare few who made it to the top, who became dragonheads and controlled territories spanning entire cities, entire countries. The question isn't whether you want it. Everyone wants it. The question is whether you're willing to do what it takes. Because the climb from 4-2-6 to 4-8-9 isn't about waiting your turn. It's not about seniority or loyalty or time served. Those things matter, but they're not enough. What matters is demonstrating that you're more valuable, more strategic, more essential than anyone else at your level. And that demonstration requires making moves that most red poles are too afraid to make. Your first move is expanding territory. The Deputy 438 controls Yau Ma Tei. You control Mongkok. Between those two districts is a stretch of Tsim Sha Tsui that technically belongs to an aging red pole who hasn't left his apartment in 6 months. He's sick. Diabetes, liver failure, complications from decades of drinking and stress. His soldiers still collect protection money from the shops, but they're sloppy. They're late. They're skimming. Nobody's watching them anymore. You approach the deputy privately. You suggest a partnership. When the old red pole dies, and he will die soon, you'll split his territory. Half goes to Yau Ma Tei, half goes to Mongkok. Clean, simple, no conflict. He agrees. 2 weeks later, the old red pole has a stroke. He dies in his sleep. Your soldiers move into the western blocks of Tsim Sha Tsui the same night. The deputy's men take the eastern blocks. The transition is seamless. The shops barely notice the change. Protection payments continue. Business continues. But now you control twice as much territory as you did a month ago. Revenue doubles. You control more gambling, more vice, more distribution, and the money flows upward exactly as it should. You keep your cut. The dragonhead gets his. The deputy gets his. Everyone gets paid, which means everyone notices, except the other red poles. There are 7 of you in the organisation at 4-2-6. You just became the wealthiest. That makes you dangerous. It also makes you a target. One of them tries to undermine you. His name is Chan. He's been a red pole for 9 years, longer than you. He has connections with older members of the organisation, men who remember when things were done differently, when respect mattered more than money. Chan starts spreading rumours. He tells people you're reckless. He tells people you're expanding too fast. He tells people the police are watching you and that your operations will bring heat on everyone. He's not entirely wrong. The police are watching. They always are. But you've been careful. Your customs inspector keeps certain shipments invisible. Your lawyer handles the fronts. Your accountant moves money through legitimate businesses. You've insulated yourself with layers of deniability. Still, Chan keeps talking. He's trying to turn the leadership against you. He wants them to see you as a liability instead of an asset. You need to handle this carefully. Killing another red pole without permission is a death sentence. The organisation doesn't tolerate internal wars. Too messy, too much attention, too much risk. But you can't let Chan keep undermining you either. Perception matters. If the leadership starts believing his version of events, you're finished. So you do something Chan doesn't expect. You go to him directly. You meet him at a restaurant in Wan Chai. Neutral territory, public enough that neither of you will try anything stupid. You sit down across from him. You order tea. You're polite, respectful. You acknowledge his seniority. You tell him you understand his concerns, then you offer him a deal. You control a gambling operation in Mongkok that's extremely profitable. High-stakes mahjong tables frequented by mainland businessmen with too much cash and too little sense. The operation brings in $500,000 a month. You offer Chan 20%, not as a partner, as a gift, a gesture of respect from a younger red pole to an elder. He's surprised. He expected a fight. He expected threats. Instead, you're offering him money, significant money, enough to increase his own income by 15% without doing anything. He accepts. He stops spreading rumours. The problem disappears. You just bought loyalty without violence. The leadership notices. Level 7, the double flower red pole. A rare title reserved for the most feared and respected enforcers in the organization. Men who prove they can command violence and think like generals. Only a handful exist across all Triad societies at any given time. You're not there yet, but you're being watched. A rival organization, the Sun Yi On, has been pushing into Sham Shui Po, testing how much they can take before someone pushes back. The Dragonhead calls all 7 red poles to a meeting and asks for recommendations. The others want negotiation, shared streets, a quieter solution. You propose something surgical instead. Hit one of their gambling dens at 2 a.m, smash the tables, take the cash, humiliate the officer running it, and give him 24 hours to disappear. Bold enough to end the problem, controlled enough to avoid a war. The Dragonhead approves, he tells you to handle it personally. You execute the operation flawlessly. Your soldiers move in fast, overwhelming the guards before they can react. You take 200,000 in cash, you destroy 50,000 in equipment. You leave everyone alive but thoroughly humiliated. The Sun Yi On officer closes the den and disappears from Sham Shui Po within 18 hours. The Sun Yi On leadership receives the message. They pull back from the disputed territory. No war, no retaliation, just a clear understanding of boundaries re-established through controlled force. You just saved the organization from a potential conflict while expanding territorial control. The Dragonhead remembers. So does everyone else. You're not just effective anymore, you're indispensable. The path to 4, 8, 9 just became visible. The Dragonhead position waits for no one. It's earned through calculated aggression and strategic patience in equal measure. The man currently holding 4, 8, 9 is 67 years old. His health is declining. Liver disease, the same condition that killed the red pole whose territory you absorbed. He has maybe 3 years left, possibly less. When he dies or steps down, the organization will choose his replacement from the current red poles. Not all of them, just the ones who prove they can operate at the next level. You're building that case every day. Every operation that succeeds, every conflict resolved without drawing police attention, every dollar that flows upward through the hierarchy, every demonstration that you understand power isn't just taken, it's managed. The numbers define you, but they don't limit you. 4, 2, 6 is where you are. 4, 8, 9 is where you're going. The question was never whether you'd climb. The question was always how fast and how far. Now, you know, the ladder only has room for one person at the top, and you've already started stepping over the people who thought they'd get there first.